Tonight on KGW News, police catch a man accused of trying to kidnap a teenager at gunpoint.
When she took off running, she told me she was just waiting to hear a gunshot go off.
Plus, Portland's mayor proposes new fees to help make up a budget shortfall.
How much more you could pay for parking, ride shares, and even golfing in Portland.
Then, the big update on a controversial plan to cut down hundreds of trees in Forest Park to make way for power lines. And later,
to me, it was a sign from God saying, hey, here's some help.
the message from a hiker to a group of inmates who helped save his life. Welcome to the news. I'm David Molko. We begin at 11 with a laundry list of new fees proposed by Portland's mayor as he hopes to bridge the city's $93 million budget gap. And while some Portlanders we talked to seem skeptical about paying more for anything, at least one city councilor says some of those fee hikes should be bigger. Catherine Cook has our top story.
I've explored every avenue to blunt the impact of the coming budget reductions.
One of those avenues, increased fees for things many Portlanders use every day. You'll find a lot of them in Mayor Keith Wilson's first budget proposal released Monday. Take parking. Event parking at Providence Park would increase from $5 to $7 an hour and $3 to $5 an hour at the Moda and convention centers. The mayor also proposed increasing hourly parking meter rates by 25% in each district. All would raise the city about $6.8 million in new revenue.
The parking increase in price is definitely not good to hear.
Kara Patterson is a leasing agent. She says potential renters are always asking about parking.
I feel like it's probably going to make it harder to convince people to rent an apartment down here with the price of parking going up 25%.
For those who get around by Uber and Lyft, there's a fee increase for you too. The mayor proposed doubling the current 65-cent surcharge to $1.30.
I haven't ridden Uber and Lyft in a very long time, but I mean, because it's crazy expensive already. So yeah, I definitely don't like the idea of that.
Still, that extra $5.1 million in revenue would go toward cleaning and repairing streets. The mayor's budget even includes a fee for golfers who use the city's 4 public courses, a $1 greens fee for every 9-hole round for the Portland Parks and Rec General Fund. The mayor's proposed budget isn't final. In fact, on Wednesday, City Council said they want to make some of his fees higher.
You've raised golf fees by $1 per 9-hole round. I'm a golfer. I can afford to pay more than that. So I'm amending that to say that we're going to raise that by $5. That will increase it by another $2 million.
And Councilor Mitch Green had a thought on rideshare fees, too. Why stop at $1.30?
I'm just going to make it an even 2. You're not going to notice it at 2 versus $1.30. That will probably raise another $6 million.
Add to all of that permitting increases, additional utility fees for water and sewer services, and an increase in fees on short-term rental owners. In Northwest Portland, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
In an update, this is the moment Clark County Sheriff's deputies arrested a man they say tried to kidnap a teen at gunpoint. Body cam video showing him surrendering to authorities late last night. And today we learned investigators believe the suspect's motive was particularly disturbing. Our Celine Stevens covered his first court appearance and talked with the father of the teenager who ran for her life.
That's the heartbreaking part, was when she took off running, she told me she was just waiting to hear a gunshot go off.
Devin Wilson is the father to the 13-year-old girl who escaped an attempted kidnapping early Tuesday morning.
Still, it doesn't even feel real.
But by Tuesday night, deputies arrested the suspect, 31-year-old Cameron Parrish from Vancouver. Body camera footage shows him surrender outside his home. Tuesday morning, Wilson says his daughter was walking to her bus stop on Northeast 149th Street near 5th Avenue in Vancouver when a man with a gun approached her, telling her to get in his car. Instead, she ran.
We've taught her so many times, like, if you get in that car, we're not going to see you again.
Her dad says she told him she ran into the road to get help, and eventually some drivers pulled over and called police. Within hours, Clark County Sheriff's Office says they were able to obtain surveillance video from a neighbor that helped them find Parrish.
An area resident approached them and said, hey, I may have something. So late last night around 9 o'clock, they were able to make an arrest the suspect and serve a search warrant in relation to this to the arrest.
Authorities say they also recovered the gun Parrish used. During his first court appearance Wednesday, prosecutors say Parrish was suicidal and planned to sexually assault the girl.
At this time, they don't think there's any kind of indication that there was any kind of previous involvement.
Wilson says he isn't letting his daughter go to and from school alone anymore, and he reminds parents to have talks with their kids about what to do.
I know a lot of kids in this neighborhood walk to the bus stop, and I never even thought twice about it, and then this happens. Hopefully everyone sees this and considers having a safety plan.
Parrish's bail is currently set to $10 million, but even if he does make bail, he will be required to be fitted with a GPS device as well as other restrictions. It's also worth noting that Parrish had his firearm taken from him in 2022, and it was only recently returned in February. He also has 2 young children. In Vancouver, Celine Stevens, KGW News.
Well, since this story touched on the topic of suicide, a reminder, if you or someone you know is struggling, there's help available 24/7. Just call or text the number on your screen. It's 988 to connect with resources and counselors. Again, that number is 988. Tonight, 10 more men have filed a lawsuit against the Oregon Youth Authority, alleging they were sexually abused when they were incarcerated as teenagers. This comes after 10 other men filed a lawsuit in March. They also spent time as teens at the McLaren Youth Facility in Woodburn. The new lawsuit alleging Dr. Gary Edwards fondled and sexually abused them between 2001 and 2008. They claim Edwards often ordered them to undress and have their genitals examined for things that were unrelated. Edwards died in February after nearly 4 decades at McLaren. Plaintiffs say they reported his behavior to staff many, many times.
We have alleged and intend to prove that the response from those other OIA staffers was either to shrug it off or in some instances to laugh about the abuse that our clients were suffering.
The Oregon Youth Authority declined to comment on the lawsuit, though says it has made some changes. Those include a nurse in exam rooms with a doctor and cameras outside to record what happens in the hallway. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office says it did not find a suspect following what it called a potential home burglary on Sauvie Island. This was breaking news on KGW News at 6. Deputies searched the home and property on Northwest Sauvie Island Road and even put up a drone. In Washington, Governor Bob Ferguson has signed a bill that aims to rein in steep rent hikes. Landlords are now prohibited from raising rent more than 7% plus inflation per year, or 10%, whichever one of those is lower.
I'm confident that this legislation is going to work for everybody in our state. And we need to have is a balanced approach, right? We need more housing. We need folks to construct that housing. We need folks to rent that housing.
For residents in manufactured or mobile home communities, that cap is even tighter. It's set at 5%. Groups opposed to the legislation argue this will discourage new construction. And Real ID enforcement is now underway after a nearly 20-year wait and multiple delays. It means you'll need Real ID compliant identification or an alternative like a passport or global entry card in order to fly domestically. So far, things appear to be going smoothly at PDX and other airports in the Northwest, though right now only about 38% of Oregonians have an ID that is Real ID compliant. Okay, let's take you outside on this Wednesday night where things have cooled off substantially from 24 hours ago. Matt Zafino's here with the first look at your weather impact forecast. Hey there, Matt.
Hey, David. Yeah, we even had a few showers move on through, mainly Clark County, but look, nobody in the valleys had measurable rain. Barely measurable rain at Astoria, just 1/100th of an inch there, a bit more up at Hoquiam, and that was it for our cold front. We'll call it basically a dry cold front, but it did cool things off a lot. We're 53 degrees outside right now. Pressure rising rapidly, as it will do with the cooling of the evening when you have a fresh air mass come on in. But look at this. We're running 15 degrees colder tonight compared to the same time last night. 17 degrees colder at Scappoose. Double-digit cooling up and down the valleys. At one point today, we had temperatures that were 22, 25 degrees colder than they were 24 hours ago. That was this afternoon. And you can see over in eastern Oregon, it's the opposite. They have warmed up as the warm air has moved over to that side of the state. So the light scattered showers basically over. Clear, warm to finish off the week. We'll be back into the 70s tomorrow, and especially on Friday. Friday's going to be a really warm day. Mother's Day, however, it's going to be cool and it's going to be showery. We'll talk about the timing of the rain on Sunday a bit later. David?
We'll take the sun before the showers. Thanks, Matt. New at 11, Portland City councilors have voted a resounding no on a plan that would have removed hundreds of trees in Forest Park in order to expand PGE transmission lines. Alma McCarty is in the newsroom with the update. Alma?
David, you'll remember last month, City Council initially voted to halt the Portland General Electric project from going forward. Today's final vote was a unanimous decision.
An appeal granted by all 12 Portland City Councilors Wednesday, reversing a decision from a city hearings officer. A decision that had cleared the way for PGE to clear nearly 400 trees across 5 acres of Forest Park along Highway 30 near Linton. This to upgrade existing transmission lines and to construct 1,400 feet of new lines. We spoke with the director of the Forest Park Conservancy earlier this year.
We just feel this is the wrong direction for the city to go in. It's kind of a slippery slope. If you open this Pandora's box, if you will, who knows in the future what permits could be granted.
He wasn't the only one worried about the impact.
Whether it's big or small, cutting any amount of forest would cause a deep, profound loss.
This is 5 acres of Forest Park. We're talking about streams, wetlands. Irreplaceable.
The power company long arguing that the project was necessary to keep up with demand. A PGE VP writing in a statement today, in part, the hard truth is that the need for the Harborton Reliability Project is unchanged. And the evidence is clear that this is the least impactful of all options to the environment, landowners, and costs ultimately borne by customers.
And PGE at this point is considering an appeal. The power company told us previously that it would improve almost 8 acres for every one impacted by the project by planting some 900 trees and 8,800 native plants in the project area. David?
I guess we'll see where it goes from here. Thanks, Alma. Now to a live look at the Vatican, where it is just past 8 on Thursday morning in St. Peter's Square. There, more than 100 cardinals from around the world are returning to the Sistine Chapel, where they will continue voting for a new pope. Today, we expect up to 2 votes in the morning and 2 in the evening Vatican time. That means the earliest we could see smoke would be around 1:30 in the morning Pacific time. Now, on the first day of the conclave, black smoke poured out of the Sistine Chapel chimney. Remember, we're looking for white smoke along with the tolling of bells, since initially when just a little bit comes out, it can be difficult to spot the difference. The next pope will need a 2/3 majority or 89 votes from the 133 cardinals who are eligible. And as the world watches, so do local Catholic students, many of whom have strong opinions about the next pontiff. Today we heard from students at St. Mary's Academy. Some say they are looking for a pope who is open-minded and concerned about climate change and the environment. Well, one student told us she would like to see the new pope hold steady to the many traditions of the church while also remaining open to change. A balancing act, right? Overall, students say choosing a new pope has them excited about their church's future.
Whether the Pope is conservative or liberal, personally, I believe that it's not going to be as huge of a thing as people say it is, like whether or not they're conservative. I think it's going to matter how much they let that define them.
I really appreciated how Francis was pretty progressive and had pretty liberal beliefs, so I hope that legacy is continued in some way.
Yeah, staff also have a live feed from the Vatican at the school, keeping an eye on that chimney for white smoke and the big reveal. By the way, if you want to keep watch, you can check out a live feed up overnight from the Vatican on our free TV app. It is KGW Plus. We'll have that every night until cardinals choose a new pontiff. Keep in mind, though, during the last 2 conclaves, that happened by the end of the 2nd day. That's today.